Good morning, Facebook. This is a topic I want to touch on this morning. Basically about our children and their safety and the way society's changing and evolving, and the way things are becoming a lot more dangerous for our children. We need to start establishing some type of security measures and some type of basis to protect our children from some of the harmful things that are out there in our society. First and foremost, pedophilia and children abduction and human trafficking is at an all-time high. And I know these things are at an all-time high pursuant to the Trump administration on what we're feeding our children, because it's highly important that we monitor the type of processed foods and the type of things our children are ingesting, because it affects them mentally, physically, and emotionally. Also, we need to pay close attention to the type of information our children are ingesting through the media, through cartoons, through movies, through music, and things of that nature, because our children are at an age where they're like sponges. They're very impressionable, and they tend to absorb and modify their thinking and their actions pursuant to what they see people they see as their role models do in the music industry, in the movie industry, and things of that nature. So it's highly important, we as adults, we as parents, we as aunts and uncles, mothers and fathers and grandparents and brothers and sisters, focus and monitor the way our children are being brought up and the type of influences they have around them. I know it's, to some, it may seem a bit far-fetched to assume that the Trump administration and Putin have anything to do with this, but when you look at each presidential campaign and you look at the different policies and the different things that transpire while they're in office, it should make you reflect back on the fact, well, damn, he does have a valid point. Every president that comes into office, they have an agenda. For instance, Obama's agenda was outsourcing, well, outsourcing revenue and things from foreign places, and also the LGBT movement. We know this. It's obvious. Then you got Trump's movement. You got marijuana litigation. You got building a wall. You got fascism. And also, when he comes into office, all of a sudden, human trafficking is an all-time high. And you know, human trafficking is something that Putin profits off at a high rate. That's where he made a lot of his billions at, trafficking in humans. If y'all haven't researched Putin yet, y'all should. And there's no such thing as a conspiracy when the evidence is right there in your face. Y'all need to pay close attention to what's going on in our society. How is it that this man can influence a campaign and get somebody elected, and he's from foreign soil, and our whole society is gravitating towards pedophilia, homosexuality, and trafficking of minors, trafficking of women, and trafficking of young boys and girls? It's just an eye opener. And then when you look at the media and how this is playing out in the media, you see these things transpiring in movies, you see these things transpiring in cartoons, and they're coding subliminal messaging to influence our children and our youth, as well as our people, to minimize something that's actually very chaotic and very serious in our communities. It's imperative that we monitor our children. We take them to these malls, to these amusement parks, to these festivals, and to these fairs, because there's predators out there. There's people preying on our youth. In these video games, where they be interacting with people from all over and talking to them and playing these games in unison, y'all need to focus on who they're communicating with, who they're talking to, what type of influences is out there. Monitor your children. The children are our valued resource. These are our legacy holders. These are the ones who will follow us once we establish a life for our family. You got to pay close attention to the type of information and the type of environments your children are going in, because people are actually preying on your children. If you look at the media, it's been thousands of children coming up missing, coming up abducted, and can't nobody find them. No police force is making any real leeway on tracking these children down or finding what's going on with these children. You're finding our children dead. You're finding our children missing vital organs, or you just not finding them at all. And I'm willing to bet, when these kids are being abducted, they're being taken to these damn shipping docks and exported into foreign countries. I guarantee it. And it's all perpetuated by some foreign agency connected to some domestic agency here in the United States. It's not a conspiracy. I'm not out to scare you. I'm out to make you think. Just sit and think about it for a minute. Trump administration, human trafficking, child pornography and pedophilia, all these things go up to an all-time high. That can't be no coincidence. It can be a coincidence. Obama administration, LGBT movement, and heroin overdose, and heroin-related pills and prescription pills, all-time high. That can't be no coincidence. Bush administration, war, oil prices surge. That can't be no coincidence. All I'm saying is, look at what I'm looking at. Just look at what I'm looking at. All the facts and all the data is right there in front of you. Some of y'all overlook it and choose not to pay attention to it, but pay attention to it. Each administration has its own agenda, and it plays out right in front of us. And then once they leave office, the agenda changes, and we suffer the side effects of what happened to our society and what happened to our families and what happened to our kids. Look at dairy. Look at the meats that our children are consuming, especially dairy. When you look at dairy, right, do you know they got growth hormones and hormones in dairy? Because they take the female cow, right, and they inject them with these hormones and these steroids that make their body think they're pregnant all the time, which makes them produce milk consistently. In doing so, the side effect, once consumed by humans, especially male humans, it puts a high level of estrogen into their bloodstream, thus affecting their thinking and their emotional state, making them feminized. If you don't believe me, look it up. I'm not lying to you. I did the research. I did the studying. Dairy is bad and shouldn't be consumed by your children. It's pesticides in it. It's all types of hormones and steroids in it. This is altering our children's thinking and their way of life and making them, the men, mature, emasculated, and feminized. Look at our society. Why is it homosexuality and pedophilia at an all-time high? It starts with our food, it starts with the media, and it starts with this administration. These things are being biologically engineered, and they're infecting our public. This is no coincidence. This is no conspiracy. It's no coincidence. This is actually a biological war going on our society. Look at young black males being gunned down. Look at how they're projecting and promoting clothing now. They got this LGBT movement all over everything. They're trying to teach it to them in schools. Then you got kids coming up abducted and missing, and pedophiles are raping and abusing our children and not even doing no real time. They're getting probation. You got to pay attention to what's going on in our society. This is a collaborative agenda. You got different facets of our government and of our society working together in tandem to do these things that's transpiring. There's a domestic war going on in our country. This is no more foreign war. This is domestic. And then you look all over the world, the same thing's happening. How is it that pedophilia and homosexuality and human trafficking hit all over the world at the same time? Y'all don't see that war going on? Are y'all blind to the war that's going on? Are y'all really not saying what's going on? Or y'all just more focused about sew-ins, uh, nails and Jordans and clothes and cars? Is that your primary focus? Y'all ain't focusing on what's going on with your children, the ones who's going to carry your name and your legacy to the future, and so on and so forth? Pay close attention to your children. Monitor your children. Protect your children. They are a vital asset to us and this planet. If we have no one to follow us, we shall die and perish. There is crazy agendas against us. They're shooting us in the street. They're mass incarcerating us. They're abducting and raping our children and our women. They're taking our vital organs out of our bodies and dumping us in rivers. They're plaguing us with drugs and sickness and these processed foods. They're putting hormones and estrogen in our milk and steroids, making our youth mature and hit puberty faster to make them sexually appealing to men twice and 3 times their age. Y'all don't think that's a problem? Y'all don't think it's a problem when a 9-year-old got breast and hitting her period? And men that are pedophiles and prey on youth are preying on these young girls, seducing them with toys and money, and then raping them mentally and physically. This is what's going on in our society. Look at it. Pay attention to it. Disregard all the nonsensical shit that's meant to divert you from the truth that's going on in our society. This is collaborative. This is the Trump administration. Y'all worrying about the shit he's doing in the media, but y'all not worrying about the physical and mental and emotional shit he's doing right here in our society to us every day. And these policies are supporting it. They decriminalizing pedophilia. Pretty soon it's going to be fair game for pedophiles to pursue, seduce, and have sex with your child. And they're not going to be penalized or imprisoned because they're looking at it as a disease and a mental illness. And we all know it's not a mental illness. It's a choice to be attracted to children. It's a choice, and they're making it a decision that is prominent, and they're decriminalizing it, and they normalizing it so you see it all the time so it no longer affects you. What I mean by that is, for instance, people who grow up in the hood, they hear gunshots all the time. They get accustomed to the sound of gunshots. They can be involved in a shootout, walk into the store, and they won't duck or run because it's been such normalized. Your mental capacity no longer sends that message to your brain to be in fear, to fend for your life. This is what's going on in our society. Deaf, dumb, and blind. They're manipulating us subconsciously. Subliminal messaging in the media, in the music, in the packaging of foods, and everything. Look at it. Pay close attention. Protect your children. May peace be upon y'all. Hope that helps somebody. Y'all take note of that, man. Do some studying, do some research, and you'll see I'm not playing. It's a serious thing transpiring in our society today. Stay blessed up.